Going talk here again. Here with Joel Cunningham, very inspirational youth, very intelligent youth, intellectual, you know. I appreciate him taking the time out and busy day for forward and have a talk, motivate some youths, share him journey and him path. He got graduate as well overseas, Howard University. Stand out, named up on billboard and everything. Yeah. Him think that now, I'm gonna give him introduction just to make you know all him achievements and him accolades and everything, you know. Currently play for Arnett Garden as well. Win the league but fall short with the overall championship. Blessings.
Respect, everyone. Thanks for inviting me as well. Really appreciate the time to be here. And then give what you say what I'm have to learn today.
Definitely. I mean, as a Ulmerian, going through the ranking at Ulmers, training with the Manning Cup team since first form, I've been around Joel and it's always like a different person other than the bunch. You get the message, always stand out in how he carry himself and discipline and just like somebody who don't want to emulate for reach a certain heights of success. So I want him like tell you in journey and like what was his thought process during that time for you know say everybody else I do a certain type of thing and he decides say oh I'm gonna take it a step further than that.
Yeah, well, for me, the journey started from I was early age of 5 years old. I have two older brothers and they both inspired me to play the game because my dad would actually bring us out on a Sunday morning and say, oh, I could just enjoy the game a little bit, and that's how I fell in love with the sport. Then played through St. Jago Prep, went to Arden Prep as well, then passed for Wilmers, and then that's how the journey really got heated. You know, you really see the competitive players. You start to see the man them from primary school and big prep school and things like Jason Wright and them man they come in, they enjoy the game and you say, alright, that's somebody you want to compete with, even though they want to put on your side. You know, you really want to go against them in a training and
things. They still have to work for a spot.
Exactly. So I started out at Pepsi first year, sorry, not first year, second year. First year I never played no ball. Just there watch and play Interform.
Why?
I think when I came here I didn't know that it was like you go in first week or second week and try out. So that was it. And then when I found out about it, I think the side there they get picked. So you know, say the man them who really have name or the man them who come from big prep school and primary
just
school.
walking
exactly. So like them are Rose, Giant High, them man they are a big name. So come in now, second year, try out, make the team for Pepsi. I think second round we drop out, we lose to JC in the last match of the group. JC JC attacked us all year, every year. So then now we go to Coes, compete again, went to the finals, lost in the finals, I think it was Excelsior. You know them time the Excelsior what they do is they play the Manning Cup players with like young youths. So it's when them drop out of Manning Cup everybody just come and Coes and you know say oh that tough team to play against. So we had some good players but we fell short in 2 years that I was playing Coes. And then Manning Cup come now. For me, I was more inspired by my cousin, who is Michael Seaton, who signed with DC United at 16, and that was a turning point for me when I said, yo, I need to get more serious with the game because if he signed at 16 to DC United, professional level, and then he actually got called up for the national senior team, I need to put up the work. So I started to get seriously committed to the game, take out all distractions and just say, alright, I'm going to play ball. Alright, I'm going to invest in myself. So if I'm going to go train by myself every day at the ball field in my scheme, I'm going to do that. But I'm not going to say, me the reason why I'm going to make it alright. So that was for me.
So question, did he have anything to say in your change of behavior? Like, did he mention anything to you before you decide you need to change, or you just look on the outside and say, oh?
Yeah, I just look on the outside. I don't think he didn't say anything to me at the time, but we had always been like close friends. Like when we were young, when he was still in Jamaica, because he migrated, I think it was like 7 or 8 years old. We used to be like competitive, very competitive. That's when I just started. But now that seeing that team sign, and I'm like, where am I right now? I'm just in a Manning Cup team. I said, no, I have to change something. So that was really motivation. And that time I started this thing, I said, journey to Europe. I don't know if you were in Mind Cup at that time, but my first year, I was like, Journey to Europe. Every time I post a highlight tape, I would say Journey to Europe. Always, every time. And then even some of the guys on the team, they used to laugh at me and say, oh, you're not serious, you're not ready. You know, say, alright, no problem.
Yeah.
Stay focused and make sure we get what we need to go.
I think I can recall something where that is concerned where players were doubting you, and at the end of the day, no matter what them they say, you never really care. You just focus on what you want and like channel like that tunnel vision. So even when probably you never like a play at a certain time, you just focus on getting better. What do I need to do to improve as a player, and if we can, But I feel like it's just natural as Jamaicans to always find these gimmicks and but sometimes we just take it a little bit too far. Because if you never have a strong mindset or a strong personality, the things they said could have actually tear you down and make you choose a different path. You get me? So how you overcome that?
I think, like you say, you have a strong mindset. For me, I didn't have a lot of people in my corner, but I always had that mindset that if I want something, I'm going to go into it. Yeah, so as you said, there are some players that they definitely get discouraged from that, and then there are some players who are motivated by it. Maybe that's what it was for me. I was motivated to prove them wrong. I think also when I was growing up, there's always a stereotype about footballers not being good in school. So that's where I think the competitive edge really started to say, oh, if you think I'm going to go into class and be a failure or be an average student, you make a big mistake. I'm going to change everything. And I did, and I think I did well. For lower six, I topped 2 subjects out of the 4 I took, so that was a big accomplishment for me. And then I got the full scholarship at the end of upper 6, so I think I did well.
So to take us through your journey preparing for CXC while playing, and like take us through your journey of being a student athlete at Woolmans. Because you got a lot of awards right during the Blue Report and all that stuff. So well at Woolmans it became like the norm for like student athletes I get Blue Report. But as you say, like outside schools, that no normally happens. So and even within Woolmans itself, it still wasn't a lot. Players did it, but it wasn't a lot. So like how did you balance it?
I think the balance for me came from the people I had around me. I think I definitely was selective about who I had around me. I was more so with the students who really did well in the classes, and I hung around them a little more. We have study sessions and stuff like that, so those things help. Also, you have our training sessions and stuff, which were a little more difficult to balance that side. But when you come home, you'll say, alright, I'm going to do my study before you go to bed. Or maybe when you go to bed early, you wake up early in the morning and do some work. So those are the small things add up in the long run. So I think that's where that balance came in to say, I'm going to be a good student and I'm also going to be a good athlete.
Yeah. And for CXC, was it the same mindset, say, training, still school and balancing and everything?
Yeah, it was the same thing that the season is also in the first semester, so second semester, more so going to just focus on your book work, so I think that helped. But yeah, it's always about balance, because even during the spring semester, you have opportunities that come up, whether it be combine or when they play for clubs, we have under 20 and stuff like that during that semester, so you still have to have that balance in thing.
Yeah, for sure. But now I sit here and go like to me, it was like a Joel who used to, do the extra studies and stuff. I was more of the student who do enough to ensure someone can play or to reach the next level. But the difference it made between me and you, even though I still ended up overseas, your transition was way smoother than mine, basically based on, I would say, your accomplishments, probably the CXCs and the type of grades that you got in school. So this is a motivation to a lot of youths who feel like just doing the bare minimum is it. Like you can literally set up yourself for success based on the amount of work you do from the ground. You see it, and a lot of people look at the building when it's finished, but them not look at the structure when you create and the block and the cement and the man them in them dirty clothes. And that you really take, because I said if you never do what you do, you probably would get that full scholarship with the grades and everything. Was it a full soccer scholarship, or was it a mixture between football and
So it was actually a full soccer scholarship. It was me and 2 other players that came up at the same time. At the time when I came over though, the college was actually saying that we could actually look into academic scholarships so we can put some of the athletic scholarship into other players, but it didn't work out. So that's also a benefit that students can look into when you do well in school. So like, you can get a partial academic and partial soccer scholarship, and you get the full package.
And you probably can get some money left over to for going
Even that too.
Yeah. So about the, as we said, you still never tell us about the journey after like the season, because a lot of players start to panic at that time. You know, when they dip on summer camp, and I think around, is it July or August? I think it's August when the results come out.
Yeah, around August. Yeah.
Enough people
Early
are fresh,
August.
but I feel like you were one of the persons who were pretty confident.
Yeah.
Saying I have nothing to worry about, enough players. I think if I'm going to 6-1 or if I'm going to repeat, some I think about going to 6-1 for the girls, some just want to say, oh, them I get for transition because them want to go college. So what was that process like for you?
For me, I guess as you said, it was more smooth sailing for me because I also wanted to be the top student in my class. So when the grades came out, I had 4.1s and 4.2s. So I think I was comfortable when it came to sixth form, but it's more so making sure that I was a standout athlete. So when I was on camp, I was just putting in the extra work sometimes in the gym and stuff like that, doing extra work. But when it comes to the transition academic wise, I don't think I ever had a struggle with that.
Yeah, that's good to know. But so what about the transition from sixth form transitioning to overseas, when you get the email or the phone call to say, oh, you have an opportunity to get a full ride?
Yeah, so that was a great feeling. I mean, for any student that in our shoes, that's always a good feeling.
Yeah.
For me, I wanted to transition from, I think, fifth form when I was coming into Manning Cup. Even from that time, I wanted to go to college overseas. The opportunity didn't come up for the first 2 years, and I was patient and I kept doing the work, and it turned out that when I was finishing up upper six, I actually got the full scholarship, so that was great, and I felt very good about that. And then the transition, getting over to getting your I-20, that can always be a complication, but for me, I think it was smooth sailing. I got everything sorted out, and then got to Howard University on time.
Was college the main focus, or was being a professional the main focus at the time?
At the time, it was being a professional, but I know that getting overseas gave me the opportunity to find the network that I needed.
True.
Right? Because that really and truly, football is one part, your ability, next part is the network that you have, where you can get in the rooms that you can get into, the conversations you can have with certain people. So a lot of students might come into college thinking that, hey, I might not play any more football at the end of my 4 years, even if I'm going to a bad school. But to be honest, even for me, I went to a school that wasn't competing at the highest level when it comes to Division I college. And at the same time, I still was training with DC United's under 23s in the summers, and then I was also playing in Iceland a year after I graduated. So the opportunity will always be there. I don't say always. It will be there if you put in the right work and the network that you try to build.
So how do you build these networks, and how do you set up yourself for these opportunities? Because a lot of people go overseas, and sometimes the environment they end up in, it's kind of hard because some of them end up like country areas with school and so forth. So typically there's not a lot around them in terms of even the within the community or the state itself is not probably football or soccer oriented, so it's harder for them. So how would you like set up yourself, like what you can do to like build a network?
Alright, so for me, how you use the media, that's the first thing. Even in the mentorship program that I built, we always say that we want to make sure that we're filming games and we're trying to get pictures, because those two things is what you use to build a media profile. Once you build a media profile, you can be reaching out to people in different states, obviously, and then you can say, maybe in the summertime, say you're going into a state like Texas and you're not really having any teams around you, you can say, alright, in the summer I'm going to go visit my friend or my cousin, and I'm just going to maybe work on the side or do something while I'm looking for opportunities, because I created that network to say I'm reaching out to 3 or 4 clubs, maybe UPSL or a lower division, and just play in the summer while I'm working on the side. So those are the small things that you can do.
For sure. So how did you come up with the mentorship program? What like boosts you or motivated for like start this mentorship program? You can tell them more about it, like in terms of what it's called, how people can find it.
Yeah. So it's Hidden Talent Mentorship. You can reach out to us on Instagram. And then YouTube, we have JC Assist, which is what we used to put all the game films on. When we come out to the mentorship came about because one of my friends actually reached out saying they wanted to create a team just to play like competition and like maybe corner league and stuff. So I was like, yeah, why not? And then I just pick up this coaching role kind of sort of. So that was really fun for me. And then I was realizing that maybe this could be something bigger. And then when I was actually on a panel, I think it was in UA, I think it was. But they had me, and one of the panelists was actually encouraging me to say, use my voice and trying to get people the opportunities that I had. So I said, all right, let's see what can happen from that. And then that's how the mentorship really came about.
You know, that's something that I've been thinking about a lot, and even when I landed at college, I had a conversation with the coaches, and I told them that I faced like difficulties getting here. Not only with finances, with just networking and everything, because it was my friend who referred me to the coach. You know, the system go where them promise you, you're not gonna help you after school, not gonna ensure it. We have this and this college in our catalog. We just reach out to them with one phone call. By the time the season finish, you can't get a video. If you don't have your own connect, it's rough. Like you have to be like really stand out for them actually help you a certain way. So one of my main aim was to create a study abroad program where I would help players to get film, help players to get network with coaches overseas and all that. So like when they present this to all my coaches every time I step in the office with them, make them know. So even when me connect back with you, like coaches reach out to me and say, oh, like a coach left my school, got fired, I'm gonna hear from him for years. And next coach reached out to me and said that coach tell him for reach out to me in the basis of looking players. I get the message, I'm gonna say, alright, me have 3-4 players, you decide which one you like or whatever, you know. But the thing with it too is my kind of skeptic is that some of the people them not understand the work you have to put in and how much your reputation means. You get the message?
That's true.
You will give a player opportunity and them abuse it in terms of them go to people in school, them do them schoolwork, them not perform a certain way, and that basically a killer connection for you.
It does.
You get me?
And so many opportunities for other people, so that's really what's happening. And it's not to say negative vibes, but really and truly, you have to make sure who you're trying to help. Like, maybe it is to screen the player over a certain period of time, maybe 2 or 3 months, just to know, say, alright, I can trust this player with my connect, right? Even though you're Jamaican, we say respect to all Jamaicans and want to get the opportunities. You don't want to kill one connect for one player.
True.
Because that could be maybe 10, 15 players down the line that you're killing.
Because you WTC, you're the school, but because of the reputation where we set, there was a group of it was like 4 of them there. Not only football, it was track as well, you know. And literally, it's like every year they want to sign at least 2-3 Jamaicans because the reputation won't go there set.
That's good.
Especially with me, as I said, I wasn't a standout student at Ole Miss. I'm become a standout student overseas.
Yeah.
Which, because I apply myself and I feel like, say, at the end of the day, I'm already here. I want to stay. I want to open doors to other people because we said the Study Abroad Foundation. So I say, what are things that I can do to like open these doors? So I may not become a tutor and all of these things, and it end up work out well for you.
So why you say I'm a standout player at Ole Miss?
No, not players. Like student,
Okay.
as in like when it come to school.
Academics.
Yeah.
Understand.
As myself, we used to just work enough for
Just enough to
to
pass.
play.
Understand.
Yeah, but so tell us about like your journey as a student athlete overseas.
That journey was good. I think for me, the more important experience is about how you get along with the students around you. Because you know it's a big culture shock when you go to a new country and everything like that. So it's more important for me to get into Howard University, which is I consider melting pot of black culture, to make sure that I was gelling with everybody, enjoying myself, and also focusing on football. So I was, in the first year, I was saying, let me just get on a good foot when it comes to the football, making sure I'm doing well in the schoolwork as well, and keeping the balance. And then second, third year, socialize a bit more, and then final year, focus on what's next. So I think that was my plan. I think I executed it well.
Yeah, that sounds like you actually set yourself and say, alright, year 1, this is what I'm going to do, year 2, this is what I'm going to do. So did you have any challenges
Yeah, there's always challenges. I don't think I had the challenges that many others had because of the football scholarship. I was more comfortable when it
Yeah,
comes
you're
to the
not worried about
financial
finance.
issues. Yeah. But when it comes to maybe getting along with some of the people that I was around, that was a bit challenging for me. Like I said, there's some culture shock and some things that you have to deal with without maybe retaliating or getting out of character.
True.
So you have to hold a composure. And definitely also because I was elected one of the co-captains early in the season because our captain was injured. So that also was a big responsibility on me from the start of my first year. So that was, I'm not going to say it's a challenge, but yeah, it's a responsibility that you really want to take on.
Well, the culture shock definitely with me. I've been to Texas and I've been to the couple states because I transferred like 3 times. So,
PWIs and stuff.
bro, like the main thing was like, the main culture shock was the principle of Americans within themselves and morals.
Yeah.
Like some things that you witness, you would never know like somebody would actually do something like that or say something like that or behave in that certain manner. And I feel like if you're not a level-headed person, it's easy for you to end up like that. Like trust me.
Yeah.
Like some things where them do, like them habits and everything. And as I say, I went to a HBCU as well in my like second to last year of school. And as I say, with the culture of the whole, what do you call them? Like the different groups and them dancing and every day in a school and all these different things. I feel like that's something that I fell short on in terms of socializing and networking because I was more to myself and in my room than because the school was nothing about football. They get me understand. That was my pride and joy.
Yeah.
So when I play ball with like the youth, them will actually try to play ball at the school. But separate and apart from that, I never really network as much. And right now, that school they like end up on the map big time.
Yeah.
Like with most, even on the news, them make the news a lot with different things with them and stuff. But you transition from school to like as you say, attempting to go pro. Did you feel discouraged at any time knowing that like you probably age and everything? And over time, I say, we need to get this contract ASAP. You get me? I say, and
definitely.
what were your thoughts like even entering the Premier League? Because I feel like there is like this negative thing on a lot of people's mind where coming back from overseas and playing in the Premier League, and it can be like draining. So, how you manage all of that?
Well, the first thing, the transition from college to pro wasn't so smooth. When I finished my 4 years at Howard University, I didn't have an actual contract in hand. I had a few opportunities to go on trial and it didn't work out. So I actually started working for PwC for a short period of time. Then I put in a request to go to soccer visa, which is one of the combines that you have in the US. That's another thing. You guys have many opportunities to go to combines that's outside of the traditional MLS combines. So people have to know that and then see if there's any opportunity that can come from that when it comes to European clubs or even Asia or anywhere else. So for me, I went to soccer visa while I was working at PwC and I got an opportunity to play in Iceland. And then that's how I ended up going actually during COVID year. So it was a bit of a challenge there. And then from that transition, COVID messed up the opportunity. And then I had to come back to Jamaica, settle down a little bit, and then I tried out with Arne Gardens. And
how long you say before you actually did try out for the Premier League?
I left Iceland in 2020, and then I tried out for Arne 2023, so about 2 years.
So you just like focus on development and everything?
So that's when JC Assist and Hidden Talent Mentorship actually came about, so during that period. But I was actually going to the States and back to looking at some trial opportunities during that time to keep myself positive mind and stuff. And then I was working as well, some not traditional PwC work, but I was doing some other work as well.
So like the soccer visa you're talking about, like how do you what's the process?
For soccer visa, right now they're located in Costa Rica, so that's easy from the States. But you have other combines. You searched up PSC, I think is one that I remember. AX Soccer Tours. There are a bunch of combines that you can reach out to and just say, alright, you sign up, you would pay a fee, which is an investment in yourself, right? That's how I see it as. And then you'll do what you have to do. I think it's a 3-day period that you go on for the combine. First day, I think you do some small drills. Second day, squad game. Third day, like showcase game for the guys who stand out in the second day.
So like, I want you to tell like people what the importance of self-investment, and some people might think of it as just money. You know, it's about like time, and it's about discipline. It's about like, give us like an intake and like how you view investing in yourself, especially as an athlete.
Investing in yourself, I could say, it's really about making sure that you take every opportunity you want. Take it by the neck or take it by the hand, whichever you want to say it, but it's about making sure that every decision you make on a daily basis is going towards that. So yeah, it might not be putting money towards yourself. It might just be, alright, I'm not gonna get ice cream for the next week or so. You know, these small things here, those things can make a big difference, because like most athletes here are seeing, especially in the Premier League and stuff, not just my team but in other teams, they make decisions on a daily basis, and you're like, are these guys really taking professional? Yeah, are they serious about it? Yeah. So you come in and on match day you realize that you're not performing at the highest level that you could. You realize why. So for you to say what's investing in you, what you can actually look on is the reverse, to say, what am I lacking? And that's how you know that you need to make this investment, as opposed to just saying maybe I'm taking a cost or something.
Yeah, because as you say, like when I actually saw the importance of nutrition and like resting and all these things, as I said, when I went overseas, being in college, the COVID taught me a lot, because it opened my eyes. I had more free time to yourself. You can like evaluate yourself. So I came back from overseas, I was fat. Typically, I say, oh, this can't work more. When I try transition to D1 from a junior college, like being a fat person just now go work out to get a message. So I say, alright, what are the things I can do? And like, as you said, the people around you have a lot to do, because Valde, you know him stay already. They tell him say, oh, me I try to lose weight and everything. So me and there's an ex who run all the banks where we take on the journey of going on a diet and everything. You get the message? So I eat salads and everything. So every time him see me like I do anything out of the norm for lose weight, him start pressuring me. Oh, I think so someone did up on diet like them type of vibe.
That's
like,
good. It's an accountability part.
Exactly. So sometimes I say, oh, I eat and chat too much. But in reality, you gotta stop, because they know say, yo, in a real life, enough you do. You get the message. So as I said, the smallest daily steps, and it just helps in a life within itself, because some people say they want to get rich, but it's still every other night them they want event time. You know, them are overspent on jewelry, clothes, whatever the case may be. You know, so as I say, it's just a life decision within itself.
And even that, I think there's some scenarios where maybe going to the event might help you. Because if I'm a photographer, I'll come to the event, take pictures, post them on media. So there are some scenarios where you can say, maybe these decisions will help you in the future, or maybe these decisions will help you right now. But you have to make sure you know that's what you want for yourself. Because is it to the footballer's benefit to go to a party night for a match? That's where they say, alright, it contradicting. But if it falls in line with what you have to do, the way you have to do.
True. Because I see a lot of players in Jamaica, like them have big games and everything, and by the time I look, see man a post like, I say, oh, I eating how much tomorrow, I get what I say, it's important to invest in yourself, but you know, you're a pro now. But you've been a pro before you were a pro. That's what I rate about you as a person, isn't it? Your actions way before you became a pro, way before like you even think of becoming a pro, is like every step we take is calculated. So what would you say are the do's and the don'ts when it comes to an athlete?
Yeah, so for me, the do's, I would say make sure you find a role model. That's the first thing. Find somebody that you would want to emulate when you're growing up. Like, you want to make sure that you have something that you can look towards. For don'ts, I would say don't second guess yourself. I think many players, even myself at one point, they feel like doubting themselves to say, I'm going to stop playing because this person said that, this person said that. Stay positive, The opportunity might not come the same day you want it to, but it will come eventually.
True.
And even if it doesn't, I think sometimes the work that you put in may lead to a different opportunity. Many players can attest to that. So I think those are two main things with do's and don'ts, but you know, they can go in more detail with a lot of other stuff.
So, like for players that, because as you made a very valuable point where you said opportunities might not come the way you see it in terms of like it doesn't necessarily mean it has to come back in a football, but football can network in a position where you might make what you want out of life through a different avenue. For example, you might meet somebody in a football where you can connect it to a specific job or for, you start a business a certain way. For people that want to be a pro and like time them feel like time will catch up on them, what would you say to them?
It depends. What do you say is time catching up on you? Because you have some players who will say time catching up on them at 22, and then you have some players in at 29. So it's
well, we could have scaled it between say 23 to say 27. I would say.
Alright, so at that age, you should play enough football by now. It shouldn't be you starting to play. So I'd say making sure you're getting into a team, even if it's at the lower level, and just making your profile. That's the first thing. Like you have to make sure you have a profile. You can't market yourself to anybody without a profile. And as I said before, like profile don't have to be nothing really, really professional. It's just something to start out with. So you're in a low level team, you might be invest in a tripod stand or borrow someone's phone, right? Get your film, create a highlight reel, post up your pictures on your social media like I said before. That's how you really get to say, alright, I'm going to start pushing up myself to the world, because that's how the network starts, but also how doors open up. Because when those doors open up, there might be one opportunity that come down the line, but you'll be ready for the opportunity because you put in the work for all these years. Then now you can always say, do I want to play football for the right reasons? You have to look at that as well, because say you get opportunity and you realize that it wasn't what you were working towards, so you have to keep that in mind as well when you're going to say I'm going to pursue.
Motivated during that time and things where you need to do for kind of keep yourself,
Keep yourself focused. For me, like 23 to 27 is really a difficult age to go professional. Definitely from my experience, there's times where you say, yeah, you want to stop playing, but one, your circle can help you, making sure the right people around you that might be encouraging you. It might be having a tunnel vision mindset where you say, yo, I'm not focused on nothing else but it for a certain period of time, or maybe for an opportunity that might be coming up. That could be a thing, because when you shut down or you shut down everything else and you focus on something for maybe 2-3 months, boy, you can be a different person. So those might be the actions you have to take when you have an opportunity coming up, or maybe just making sure you're networking all the time. So
I feel like you have to create the opportunity, and that a lot of people don't understand. So tell them, how did you create your opportunities?
For me, like I said, I always started off by having a profile, making sure that everything that you see about me screams footballer. So whether you have the highlight reel sorted out already, whether you have your Instagram page up, your YouTube, everything sorted out from jump, so that when the opportunity comes and me can talk to you and say, hey, you can send this highlight tape to a friend, please, if you have a link or anything like that. It makes everybody's life easier. So
CV and everything.
Exactly, your highlight tape and your resume, those things start you out every time. And then when them see the highlight tape and say, oh, he's a good person, they might check your Instagram profile.
Tell them how important the Instagram profile as an athlete is. Because for me, you can kind of change the dynamics of my Instagram, because I focus more on different things. As I say, podcast, inspiring people with business, and so me have a post like different. But as an athlete, especially an athlete that is aspiring to be a professional, that is not a professional in terms of one of the highest leagues, tell them how important is it. Because them feel like it's all about drip post and drip it.
Yeah, I think when I went to soccer biz, I really learned about that, because Joe, the guy who runs it, he always tell us his stories and talk about the experience he had with scouting players, and you see how guys are posting the biggest car and stuff like that they have, but at the same time they would invest $250 in coming to a soccer visa event that could lead to him going to Europe. So those things can actually deter scouts. Like they can say, this guy isn't serious about it because he won't make the right commitments.
True.
So you have to make sure you're making the right decisions when it comes to what you post on media and whether you actually even, alright, so I got a scholarship opportunity for a player, but it was because of how the mentorship page and the Girls Academy page was set up. Like he saw the talent on the page itself, and he reached out to me and said, I'm looking for a player. So that player right now is getting her I-20 started out, have her interview this month, and getting a 90% scholarship. Those are the things that can come out of it. And even at the professional level, opportunities can come up from that, because Soccer Visa actually reached out to me. I didn't reach out to them originally. So that will always show when you have a good profile to say this guy actually wants to go somewhere.
And it shows the level of commitment and the effort that you put in to reach to a certain level. Because at the end of the day, people are going to work with people who are serious. And a man who's serious are going to know somebody else who's serious.
Exactly.
You know, so painting that picture of being a professional before you actually get the opportunity to be a professional is very, very much important. You know, and so for your mentorship program now, I'm saying, bro, you've been doing a lot of work. You're not planting grass like a farmer. Yeah, like all the grass you plant, you know, you do a video and thing. A couple of times you had conversation about players that you have, if we have a connect. That's something we have to work on again, as Mr. Chu, you know, the business and everything, kind of all over the place. But you've been doing a lot of work, you know, and you might not see the growth as fast as you want, but you're a man who actually know say things take time and the process how it goes. How difficult it is to change the mindset of the players that come in and out of the program, because as I said, you know, not to shame the ghetto, I come from the ghetto, but the ghetto mindset, because for me, poor is not a financial status, you know. Poor for me is a mindset, you know. And a lot of these kids are growing up on trauma from not just their parents, but grandparents, and it's basically a generational thing.
Yeah.
How do you help to change or cope with that trauma that these kids are facing?
As you say, it's very difficult. I mean, sometimes you just feel like it's impossible for some of them, and some of them you just can't help it. But what you try to do is create an environment. Because what I found that when I was younger, and I got my scholarship opportunity, there was one other player that unfortunately didn't work out for him. And I think that same mindset was a part of it. And even my father was speaking to me and saying, don't do it, because look how much work we put into that one player. And it turned out, turned out against us. Yeah, so we always say, put them in an environment with other people who might be serious. Same thing we're going to do with the team. If you have a certain level of players and you go into that level, you're either going to be on their level or you're going to be low and going up. Alright, if you're higher than them, you probably need to find a new group. You hear people say that all the time. So for me, I created the environment where I can see players who, some are serious, some aren't as serious, and I hold them accountable to say, look at what she's doing, look at what he's doing. You need to follow him if you want to get somewhere in the football world. Alright, if you want to get to college, if you want to get overseas, do you want to get out of this environment that you're in right now? Because those things actually, it makes my job easier to do it that way, as opposed to just me telling this person, hey, stop that. You know, they're not going to say that. They're going to say, all right, I'm going to listen to him now, but when I go home, I'm going to say the opposite. So that's really hard to say that I'm going to be the encouraging factor. Maybe somebody else would a lot easier for them. So it's find that role model inside this environment that you're in.
So isn't it? Can't it be like negative as well, like damaging to say? Obviously, it depends on how you coach, because this happened a lot. This happened to me personally. You have a player who is talented, but probably there's another player who is also talented, more talented, but works less. The player that is just average on talent works extremely hard. However, the next one that extremely talented, when him a play, it's like him a outshine the other players. So it's like the one who work hard, I say, no matter what me do, me not really look as good as him, or I'm not really. So might as well him just go through the motion. Me start go through the motion too, because probably if I go through the motion, I might start play better. You know, these psychological things. And as I say, I've been through it because personally, me feel that me shouldn't get more playing time in Amani Cup from fourth form. With the level of work I did I do at the time. But people who did just a draw them foot start get more game than me say start playing with my psychology. But at the end of the day, as I say, it boils back down to the coach's decision.
Yeah.
So like you know feel like say sometime like or what do you do as the coach to like prevent that from happening?
It as you say, it's like sometimes it's challenging for the coach actually to get that started up because you'll have a player that work hard, but at the end of the day they're not as high level as another player. Even from just attendance, because like even in mentorship we're trying to say, alright, we want more attendance, right? We want to hold players accountable. But then you have players that come in 2 times out of the month, but their level is so high, it's like you can bench them. You understand? And sometimes you have to make a statement, yeah, but at the same time you want the highest level players on the field.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day you're showing a product onto YouTube or onto the media pages to say we want these guys to go somewhere. But I think for me is to make sure that these players aren't discouraged, because I was also in a shoe where I wasn't the most talented player, but I was working very hard to say that maybe there is not just this opportunity that coming up. Maybe there's another opportunity that coming up where you say you might get the playing time. I think for you, I would say if I was a coach, you might not play right now in the season, right? And you might not play as many times as you want to. But what if there's another club that comes up right after, where you could play in the UPSL, right? Maybe you could play with a USL team in the summer. Like, don't be discouraged by you not playing right now in this season, right? Your time is coming. Or what if there's a player that come in, like you say, not as serious, but they get injured during the season?
True.
When your time get called up, now wait, you're gonna perform, or you're gonna be like, oh, I was following this guy and say I wasn't doing all the things that I need to do.
True.
And it can end up and say, alright, you're not doing well.
Because while I value competition, it can, as them say, competition is still a joy. Because you can be at a level, you know, and you compete with this guy. You and him start out at the same level, you know. But you would even realize that you go above him, but you still compete with him. So when you can reach up yourself, you're the right as you can say, oh, I'm good as I'm still a little bit better than him. I get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Where your focus is on the person and not on development. I'm gonna feel like that reach a lot of players. But as I say personally at the time still, it wasn't just like working hard. I feel like I'm talented enough because people did say to me, obviously, and people say, oh, I bet you transfer, I bet you do this, and I say, how I can overcome this? Like, what I can do? I never end up play the amount of time that you want to, but the following season they not become even though the change of person in the coaching thing. You see it, and over the years I start be a more integral player in the team over time. I get the message. So. But as I say, sometimes like how would you motivate a player? What would you tell them to do if they are facing a situation where they feel like they might do good enough talent and everything, but they not get the playing time because of coach's decision?
I would say it happens to many players that they don't realize. I think most times when you have like a serious, difficult moment like that, you feel like you're the only one in the world that going through it. I think that's the first mindset, because I've had it before. And then I would come to the player and say, all right, let me help you develop. Let me give you that extra edge to say you can be the player that you want to be, right? Because like I said, this is just one scenario. You can get into a different team next week, or maybe a different team next month, or you can even play, say I'm playing for a college, and like you say, I'm in your shoes where my talent isn't there enough, or even if my talent is there, my work rate is there, the coach not picking me for certain reasons, right? I can go to the coach and say, Coach, I respect your decision, please let me know what I'm missing out on. A lot of players don't do that.
True.
They just get in, I'm not gonna say getting the feelings, but they feel that urge to say the coach is the reason why, right? Or maybe because, like you said, other people was telling me that I'm doing a lot better than them.
Yeah.
You know, that even adds to the fuel, like you say.
A self-fulfillment.
Exactly. That frustration can bring in, and then that can actually make the team worse, you know, because that energy is not good for the team. So it depends on the person, I'll say. It's not one shoe fits all. Everybody going to say, we're going to do this, and it will always work. But I think giving that player a little special attention really goes a long way, because it makes them feel like they're part of the team and you want to make sure that they're developing.
But I don't feel like a lot of coaches like are like that where like of an open book where you can say coach respect your decision or whatever and then we give actual tips. Because that's one of the steps I made my last year at junior college.
Yeah.
New coach come in, as I said I do well. He might put me on every like we play 30 minutes on the free. You know the college team can come on and come on. So like we play say 20 minutes or 25 minutes, I'm the first change. And then we go on play like a 30, 40 minutes, come back, and you get the message. So I did go to him and say, oh, what am I missing? Because these players not do much over me. Or if they might do nothing over me or any at all. My friend, they get the captain band at the time and he started stand out a score from centre back position and everything. And I say, him they basically kind of help him to go through the whole situation. So having people in your corner who can help you from motivator. But I did go to him and he tell me say, he did tell me something specific and someone did help and work and everything. Over time when I work on it and still get better, it's like him still having preference and him chance. You get me say. We even end up at nationals and a player disrespect him and the player never did a play good anyways. Another same player end up calling the cars to the tournament. It feel kind of fulfilling at the time when you feel good but we feel bad at the same time. You know the way? And I feel like it was toxic because at the end of the day, there is no way you can be a part of a team but you feel fulfilling just because some drop out because the coach you have against. So as I say, it can be very, very, very dangerous. So as I say, like, give me a few more tips of how players can like change your mindset when these things are happening.
Changing your mindset, that's really no like walk in the park, honestly, because you have your mindset you start to build that mindset from an early age, right? And to change it overnight is probably going to be next to impossible. But I would say finding people that you want to be like your role models. That's the first thing I would say. Making sure that every time you go on the field, you know why you go on the field. Making sure you know your why. That helps as well to say, my mindset going to change or just because I know where I want to go next. Right? This might be my current situation, but it's not my last situation. It's not where I'm going to end up for the rest of my life. So I'm going to make the best of this opportunity and see where it leads from there. Mentors definitely help, not just the role models, having mentors and even your peers. Cause I think if your centre back friend wasn't there, it probably would have been a different situation for you. So those three things I think will help you a lot.
And as I said, like my peer, because he was going through a phase at the time as well where he was injured, but like the previous season, like he have a serious knee injury and I'm worried because even that case in the injury like after the season as well, you know, so we are trying to overcome all of that and we basically were there for each other during each other's difficult times.
Yeah.
But it's not necessarily easy to find people like that and it's not easy to find like-minded people. So, you know, choosing your friends is very crucial but it's very hard to choose when it's not really hard still, you know, because sometimes we're just not looking at the right places.
Yeah, that's really it.
You get me?
Even for me, I think what I started to do when I go into combines, because I was going to quite a few combines, is to make sure I'm networking with the players. Like you go to combines and you say, alright, I focus on making sure I impress this coach. But 9 times out of 10, the coach looking for another player in another position. Yeah, I say, oh, you're really not a winning chance. It even means that.
Yeah.
But coaches have that in their head before they come to events. They might want a goalkeeper and you're a striker. How are you going? You can't win. So you say, all right, when I go to an event, I'm going to network with the more quality players. Because most times the quality players, they have history, right? They have connects that they can help you with. And you can just have that friend later on to say, I want to have that person in my close circle.
A friend as a superstar.
Exactly. That too. You know, those things can happen and like I've done it before and I still link up with some of my friends and like when I'm in the US I train with them. And those things help me for opportunities that could come up. So I think those always help.
Yeah, because even the summer like I went to work and I literally made the difference. You know, some people they see me a post at the time. We are working and everything, and me be the difference to say, yo man them, we are gonna feel, you know, we are gonna play ball, we are gonna train, and we basically train the entire summer. You get what I mean? So we kick a ball, to kick free kick, we do fitness, we make even some of the friends and who did kind of give up on the sports. Like,
Oh, but
yeah, like I say, I feel like I don't want to do it again at a certain level. You get the message. So sometimes we are look for that form of motivation in other people when we can look for it within ourselves. And it's not really motivation, it's just discipline.
yeah.
They say we can make the difference to kind of change our group. Because when we change our group, our same friends can start hold us accountable. You get the message? So you're there on the journey. What is it like playing in the Premier League? What's the difference between, you know, playing in Iceland, playing in the Premier League, and like what's the mentality of the players like? I know that's a big difference.
Well, in Iceland, it's really for my first European experience, and it's the only European experience I've had so far. So for me, it was always a blissful feeling. I was like, every time I go on the field, I'm happy. I always want to be the best I can be, and I want to make sure I stay in Europe. When I came back to Jamaica now, I was more so saying I want to motivate myself to get back overseas. So it could be a mindset thing, but when I come to Jamaica and I'm playing with the players, I feel like many of them lack the professionalism that I would see in Iceland, you know. And it's not just you going on the field, it's sometimes it's training, and sometimes just the way we talk to each other. Those things I see are the big difference between the different levels of playing. And even in the US when I was training with DC United.
And the things with them eat as well.
Yeah, I mean nutrition is always going to be a big factor. But I've seen players even in Jamaica that have a good diet and focus on the right things. So like I said, professionalism, that's a part of it as well. What you eat, what you do during the day, when you go to bed and stuff like that. Those are the habits that you have. So it's not just one or two things, it's just who you are as a person and what you want to do for yourself. I see that as a difference between what I do here and what I would see in Iceland.
Obviously, we know we don't have much of the resources to kind of fuel certain things, especially with diet and so forth. But do you think some of the clubs are trying hard enough in terms of helping the nutrition of the players and the fitness and everything, other than just kill them with running?
Yeah, I think we don't lack resources, but people could argue about that. I think what we lack is resourcefulness. I think when we even talked up here, we were talking about how somebody would say they don't have a camera, but at the same time, most of you have a good iPhone, right?
Exactly.
So how can you not get fit? So it's like, what is going on really and truly? So the same thing with nutrition and stuff. There are many things that is not as expensive as the things we buy.
True.
But at the same time, we choose to do these things because maybe it's mainstream or maybe that's what they did growing up back in the day. But now it's different. It's 2023, right? You can make good decisions and still have a low budget if you need to have one.
Because you're right, because that's something that I argue with a lot of people. You take your money and buy KFC, it's a sweet potato, expensive. You get the message?
Yep.
When one serving a KFC, you could have buy enough sweet potato, you could have served it for at least 2-3 days.
Yeah.
Or even 3 days for the 3 meal for the day. You get the message? So these clubs definitely can do way better in the choices of the food with them choose to get. Because you see players eat like rice and peas and fried chicken. Growing up, coming through Woolmans, and them some they were even a match day alone, them say, oh, don't give them the fried chicken, just give them. And most of the time, I still that way I get. You get the message? So right through the week, we eat rice. Sometimes I wonder how far we could have been if we were getting the proper nutrition, like diet plan and everything, and we were molded into the professional lifestyle from a certain age. Because if we can reach this far with so much talent and people look at us over other places and say, yo, we're exceptional, you get what I'm saying? What if we were actually like being groomed a certain way? Like we could have meet right now, probably a Jamaican would be the best player in the world. Who knows?
I mean, yeah, you have a good point. I think that when it comes to the decisions that we make growing up, a lot of it could have been better if we had mentors, like I said. But then, when these mentors, or when we grow up, are we teaching the next generation really and truly? How much time are we spending to teach them?
True.
So it ends up being a continuous. It's always going to happen again.
True.
Because how much are we trying to help the next generation? So in my mentorship, I try to say, be the change, show the change. Always trying to help someone else or help a group or just inform people So even if they make the bad decision, you still have a clear conscience to say, I put out the information there.
That's
Right,
one of the reasons I'm
exactly.
doing this, to be honest. Bro.
Exactly.
Because like, this is not so much of just trying. Some people do YouTube to get money, some people do. But my fuel behind this is to speak about current affairs, obviously at times, but more of people and their journey and things that they do, discipline wise, and somebody can look on it and say, oh, it can either change them life, or them can even learn a thing or two from it. To get your message. Because as I say, how many people are actually taking the time out of their busy day for you to tell a youth, say, oh, you better eat stew chicken than fried chicken, or you better eat sweet potato than rice. Like, me literally coach people almost every day. The moment somebody bring up health, I give them tips on how them can, because as I said, I've been on my journey.
Yeah.
I get a message, I'm going to see the results I'm get. I'm going to see how my body feel, see how my body look after I do certain things. So I always share my input where that is concerned. But as I say, like, if we never did, one of the things I realize is that a lot of the coaches who are coaching in Jamaica, back in our time especially, there are no coaches. They are just a man get up and say, oh, coach a team. Like, them literally don't know nothing about football. Like, them will watch it and say, alright, man, you play 4-4-3. Alright, I make my team play 4-4-3. Them don't know the tactical side, them don't know the... If a player get hurt, them don't know how to tell them, just run go up ice on it. You get the message, where upon an injury, probably ice would have made the damage worse.
Yeah.
You get the message, so... And the information now is there. You must see more coaches that try to get certified now than before, which is a good thing and help the country and help the development of the game. But as I say, like, a lot of the people, like the players, them just get up on roadside. They get them as like coaches, like a man, you see a group of players, I say, alright, I'm going to coach them. And literally that happens to most of the teams. They get them as so I'm happy to say like some form of change, and even though the JFF kind of corrupt, them still kind of there do a little thing in a way. We see them there try to pull. I think them they keep it like this coaching to me.
Yeah, they did.
Where more coaches could have get certified.
Yeah, they're trying to push out the license as well for a lot of people actually, male and female, so to get more people certified. But I think it's not just making sure you have coaches, because what happened in Jamaican culture especially is that from a young age the focus is on winning. Nobody really thinks about that. They're like, say, alright, we want to win.
That's
Pepsi,
a valid point.
we want to win Premier League.
We want to win goals.
Who's focusing on development?
That's crazy, because now that you say it, I think about it, it's
That's
true.
it. It's the winning mentality that they have. And it's not that they're saying, I'm not saying don't have that winning mentality, but that shouldn't be the primary goal. Right? It should be on development. And if you go to other countries, that's how it is. They focus on developing their players, I think through maybe U17s or something like that. All about development. All about development. And then if you win the titles, you're winning. But it's all about development. Assessing players. Even at the professional level, how many clubs you can find in Jamaican Premier League that have exit interviews, which is like just an assessment to say what you did during the season and what you can do during the off season to develop.
Because even I did that at a junior college.
Exactly. So like, is it too much to ask for them to do it here? I don't think so. Those are the small steps that can go a long way in players' development, even not for the senior level, because there are a lot of young players that's playing in the Premier League right now, which could benefit from that. To say, alright, during this off season, I'm going to do this and that. Come next season, ball out, do very well.
That's crazy, because I've never viewed it that way in terms of the winning mentality, because as I said, I was so caught up into that winning mentality that all I focused on was bragging rights.
Yeah.
And really and truly, we never gain nothing from it. We win Coles and what?
Nothing.
Win Pepsi and what?
And a big school that you see that in is JC. You see that there's a lot of talent there. I can't lie. They bring in talent, they develop talent. But how much of that talent is going to the next step? Right? You're seeing some of them, but are they pushing out the players enough to say, we're getting a good rate of return, to say, I'm winning championships, I'm developing players to get over to the next level? It's not enough, I don't think. And other schools are doing it, and I don't think the bigger schools take pride in it as much as they should.
Yeah, because as you say, we can argue about resources, because smaller schools would say they don't have enough resources like the big schools. So why don't the big schools that have the resources are not focusing on? If so be the case, the small school them should not win, and the big school them are focused on development of the youth. You get the message? But as I say, it's all about, we have a winning culture. we have a competitive culture in Jamaica where we feel like it's everything we have to do for the on top. I wanna make like the other side, you know, like the technical side, or learning something from the experience and everything. So, how do you think we can change that though?
How do you change that? I think that comes from the coaches first of all. To say we're gonna make sure we're training all year round. Those are the small steps. It might take a little bit more money, of course, to have that development. But you can also say, I'm going to do some videos and post them on YouTube, right? Get the players to do those workouts during their own time at home to make sure they're doing something so that throughout the time that they're not seeing each other, maybe they can't see each other 4 or 5 days a week during the off season. Or the off season, that's another thing. Your season is 4 months, your off season is 8 months. That's backtracking there. That's another thing I didn't
But
say.
that's something in the American college system too, and that makes sense to me. Or I feel like I kind of hinder the process of a lot of players going professional.
But what happens in the college system is that you're playing UPSL.
Not
Doing a lot
everybody.
of- You can though, and the development is also there in the college level because they have the spring season.
Spring season,
You really
yeah.
do. You're training. You have gym. You have your running. You might not play as many games because sometimes even just the weather problems that they
Yeah,
have.
yeah, yeah.
We don't have. We have warm weather all year.
All year.
How we're not playing all year round, right? I'm not going to say you have to be in the same group per se, you have to be in the same team, but you need to be doing work all year round.
But I think I was playing all year round when I was in school still, you know. Well, that time, now it kind of changed because under 17, under 15, everything kind of changed because, alright, so I would play, you know, but that's the thing, sometimes the leagues even clash, which shows that there is no structure or there is no organization because if they were mindful, they would say, alright, money could play at this time, so we can play under 17 right after. Give them a month for rest, probably, if you say you want it.
Yeah.
And then play under 17 or under 13, whatever, that time. You get what I'm saying? But it was a case for me, I was playing under 15 while Money Cup can't be like on.
Yeah, during the summer.
Exactly,
Yeah,
so
yeah, that happens.
so after under 15 finish, basically when the summer finish, and then you play Money Cup. After Money Cup done, what is there to play?
So that's what I'm saying, during the spring, or the second semester, third
Yeah,
semester, what are you
yes.
doing during that time?
Nothing.
So that's where the football needs to be coming in. Not going to say you're going to play under 15 every like during that time or under 15 in the summer. It does happen where camp can clash, but is the seasonal Money Cup clashing? No. During the summer you're not playing really actually, so your club is coming in there or wherever it is from January through August. We need to play more football.
Even the under 23 league with them cut out, I feel like that was a, you know, no, it was under
23,
under
under
21. It was under 21.
21.
Yeah, that was like like I think third form. Cause me used to watch the games at Harborview. So the players who basically not really get much game in the Premier League team them, and like the players that were
Like
fresh
B
out of
teams
Money
or
Cup,
the-
yeah, them used to play this under 21 competition.
That helps.
You
That
get me?
helps.
But them cut it out.
Yeah, we know that. Maybe I know they said maybe it's COVID is the reason
No,
why.
long before COVID, them
before
cut it
COVID.
out, man.
Oh.
You're supposed
So-
to, I don't know if you ever play in the competition, but you probably know about it, but you probably not remember, right?
Yeah, probably not remember. I was playing more so for Portmore United.
And then
Valley.
Portmore was a good team, you know,
Yeah,
because then we have a lot of young players who used to play. So we used to go to Harborview and watch the game, man. Under 21 team. But that was, I feel like that did good because it still like give them a sense of highlight because I'm playing night games and the
Yeah.
night that before night games get so popular, you know, and it yeah give that level of, you know, professionalism there so them can know so I will still have something to work towards and motivate my thing.
And I think also to make sure that they're always filming the games. Because when you film games, you can assess the games and even the players can assess it themselves. That's really one of the biggest problems in Jamaican football because tactically, we're not there. The best way to be that tactical IQ or player IQ is through film.
You guys do film session?
We had a film session where college.
No, as in Jamaica Premier League.
We did it on and off, but we didn't do it consistently during the season. Like we did it more so in the playoff period.
I learned a lot in a film session overseas. You know?
Exactly.
Like we legit sit down in the room, go say, oh, what would do wrong here, what would do wrong there, what could I do better? And it's like we can reflect when I play the game, so alright, the last time we do this and it turned out that way.
That's what I'm saying.
What am I gonna do now if we kind of change it? I feel like, bro, my game would have developed so much You get them I say,
We
but
start that from a younger age. Primary school league, prep school league. From them time they develop the kids from early. They might not, I guess, they might not appreciate it as much at the early age. But by the time they get to money cup level,
they will understand.
different mindset them have. You can see a drastic difference.
I definitely gonna start playing my ball still. You know when it. I feel like I'm too young for this stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm an active person. It's not like I'm sit down and just not do nothing. I always I try to stay in shape, go to the gym and play ball on Saturdays, Thursdays, whenever you get me some. I feel like that's something. I'm going to join your team too. That's something they are consider as you get a message. But actually, you see the coach and tell him say, oh, I'm going to foul that thing.
Okay.
I'm not sure when yet or if I'm going to still there when me decide to join. And hopefully, I would love to play with you, but I also love if you could get a contract by the time you go forward. You get a message because we always want to see the best for everybody, and I feel like it's a joy. I feel so fulfilling. Sometimes I scroll by Instagram and see a signing and say, oh, Jamaican guy, I say that I feel good in myself, you know, because it might fulfill a dream I me they have to and still have, you see, because me know it's still possible. You see it, so see the youth them like excel and do them thing. But final question I want to ask you before we wrap it up. What's the cause of Jamaican players coming back to Jamaica from USL or changing teams that often? Is there something within the contract that states that they can't stay a specific time?
Alright, say it again, sorry.
So I realize that a lot of Jamaican players is either after one season, if them a transfer, them end up back and play Jamaican Premier League.
Yeah.
Is there something in the contracts that state that a player can't play in a USL team for a certain amount of time, or is it that just because to me on the outside it seems like some of them are perform good enough, scoring goals, whatever, even win the league, you get them as captain, but after the season them a transfer.
Yeah, so for the players that get contract in the USL,
Mm-hmm.
it's typically a 1 season contract. So the same way you might have an exit interview, like I was saying, they have exit interviews at the end of the season where they decide that whether they want to re-sign the player or not. So that's my understanding of the situation in the USL.
So you mean to tell me say most of these Jamaicans that are playing and even playing, well, I mean Power League still a couple of months, couple of seasons well at Charlton. But for other players, even when I see like them I do good, is it that for the preference of them is rather than just now meet the requirements? Did I explain like them have a 1 year contract? So most of the contracts are 1 year, USL.
Yeah, to my knowledge, all of them should be 1 year. But what happens is when you have a season player, you might easily say, alright, he's going to resign for next year. So it seems like it's more than 1 year enough.
Oh, because it really puzzled me. And it's like when these feel so a certain way about it because I say, oh, players finally get opportunity to go overseas. And seem like them are do well on the outside. Stats no bad, they get them message about them just the cutting edge, them now make it for the next year, right? Them have to transfer it to a next team.
Yeah. Well, it is also other factors. You might be the player that wants to go, right? Or it might be that, you only have a certain number of foreign players that you can have in the team.
That's what I was learning recently.
If you as a defensive midfielder, they might have 2 other defensive midfielders that are local, quality defensive midfielders. They'll say, alright, I want to use my international spot in another position.
How many spots are there?
I think it's 5, but I don't want to say for sure. I think it's 5.
Is it the same for MLS?
No, I'm not sure about the MLS roster, but I think it should be more for the MLS.
Don't you think it should be open for more players?
Yeah, I think it should be. But I know that every country has this rule. But they know some countries have more than others. But it's all about making sure that the country is actually taking pride in development. Yeah. Because when you have so many foreign players, where the younger ones aspire to go.
True.
So that's why the country decided to do that.
Well, which is understandable, and you can feel, but I feel like still, in order for American football to reach a level, or soccer, them call it, to reach that next level, I feel like they have to free up more spots, they have to do more. The USL and MLS have to come together because there's this thing where them like them have a little difference with each other. I feel like they need to come together to form like a camaraderie for no say, oh, alright, I just say go up and can come.
Oh, relegation.
Yeah, because I feel like they do more for the league.
Yeah.